Welcome, everyone, to another chilling Reddit horror story. Tonight, I've got something deeply unsettling to share, something that still haunts me to this day. So, dim the lights, get comfortable, and prepare for a tale that might just keep you up at night. This happened to me. Have you ever found yourself alone in a public restroom late at night, the world outside silent and still? You walk into the space, the harsh fluorescent lights flickering above, casting a cold, sterile glow that makes the walls feel even more suffocating. The air inside smells faintly of disinfectant, and the floor beneath your feet echoes with each step, as though the very space is alive, watching you. It's a place that, under normal circumstances, would feel safe, a place to go about your business, unnoticed, and leave without a second thought. But what if that silence, that stillness, suddenly broke in the most unnerving way? What if, on a night like any other, you heard a voice from nowhere, a voice that shouldn't be there, asking you a question that would turn your world upside down? In Japan, there's an urban legend that transforms this innocent setting into a nightmare, a chilling tale whispered among locals for generations. It's a story that begins with something as ordinary as stepping into a public restroom. But once you step through that door, you are no longer just another person going about their day. You are a participant in something much darker, something that might very well cost you your life. It begins innocently enough, like many stories do. You find yourself alone in a restroom late at night. Maybe you've been out with friends or had a long day at work. And now, as the night stretches on, you're in need of a quick break. The restroom is empty, the place quiet and almost peaceful. The fluorescent lights buzz softly above, a constant hum that, in its quiet way, reassures you. You're the only one here, and for the moment, everything seems fine. The soft hum of the lights above is the only sound that breaks the stillness of the room. The walls, covered in cold white tiles, stretch on endlessly in your peripheral vision. A single stall at the end of the row is occupied, though it's hard to shake the feeling that something isn't quite right. The air feels unnaturally still, heavy in a way that makes you acutely aware of every small movement. You pause, blinking, before shaking it off. It's probably just the tiredness of the long day making you jumpy. You finish up your business and reach for the toilet paper. But there's none. You glance around, puzzled, only to find that the roll is empty. This is the point where the story begins to take its turn toward the terrifying. Normally, this would be an inconvenience at best, a minor irritation. After all, there's always a way out, just find a staff member or leave to look for something else. But on this night, the situation is different. The silence that blankets the restroom grows heavier, more oppressive. The flickering light above you seems to grow dimmer, casting elongated shadows that make you feel uneasy, even though you can't explain why. The empty stall beside you creaks slightly, as though something or someone shifted in it. But when you glance toward it, the stall is empty. The chill that runs up your spine is sharp and cold. You take a breath, trying to calm yourself. It's just your mind playing tricks on you. You're alone. You've always been alone in here before. And then, just when you think you might have to leave in search of help, you hear it. A voice. It's soft at first, almost like a whisper, coming from nowhere. You freeze, unsure of what you just heard. Your eyes dart around the room, but you see nothing. No one is there. The door is locked, the stall doors are empty, and the only movement is the slight rustling of your own breath. But the voice, cold and eerie, breaks the silence again. Red paper or blue paper? Your blood runs cold. The words are so out of place, so strange, that you can't make sense of them. Was it a prank? Maybe someone was playing a joke on you from the other side of the door? But no one is there. No one is talking. The voice repeats itself, this time louder, more demanding. Red paper or blue paper? At this point, your heart is racing. You've heard urban legends. You've heard of creepy stories that go around the internet. But never have you encountered something this strange, this unsettling. A question like this, in a place like this, it doesn't make sense. You glance down at the empty roll of toilet paper in front of you, then back toward the door. But there's no one there. Yet the voice lingers in the air, hanging like a threat, a promise of something terrible. The question feels like a test, and deep inside, you know that whatever you say next will have consequences. You try to ignore it, hoping the voice will go away if you pretend it didn't happen. But it doesn't. It only grows louder, more insistent. Red paper or blue paper? The air in the restroom feels thicker now, the silence more stifling, and a cold chill creeps down your spine. It's no longer just a question, it's an order. And you realize that, in this eerie, empty restroom, there's something more than just your own thoughts echoing in the stillness. The question keeps repeating, louder this time. You want to scream, to run out of the restroom, but your feet are rooted to the floor. Something is holding you there. The oppressive air, the flickering light, the growing panic, everything is pushing you deeper into a sense of helplessness. At this point, you realize something. There's no escape. You can't leave without answering. The voice won't let you. So you do what any sane person would do in a situation like this. You make a choice. You glance at the empty toilet paper roll once more. The voice is waiting, patient, almost eager. The question hangs in the air like a trap, and you can feel it. Whatever you say next will determine your fate. Red paper or blue paper? The voice asks again, more forcefully now. It's coming from all around you, and it feels like it's inside your head. Without thinking, you blurt out, red paper. The words escape your mouth before you can stop them. For a long moment, everything is silent. The lights stop flickering, and the oppressive feeling in the air lifts slightly. You start to think that maybe, just maybe, you're overreacting. Maybe it was all in your head. But then, you hear it again. Only this time, it's not the voice asking you a question. It's a laugh. A low, menacing laugh that echoes in the restroom, seeming to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. The sound cuts through the silence like a blade. You don't understand it. How could a laugh follow a simple choice like that? Suddenly, the restroom feels much smaller. The walls seem to close in on you, the flickering lights growing dimmer by the second. You turn to leave, but the door won't open. It's as if the restroom itself has trapped you. Panic sets in. The walls seem to shift, the tiles groaning as if they're alive, and that laughter, it keeps coming, low and mocking, like something from a nightmare. You reach for the handle again, but this time, as your hand brushes against it, you feel something cold and wet. You yank your hand back, heart racing. Your fingers are slick with something dark and sticky. Your mind races, but the answer doesn't come. Red paper or blue paper? What did it mean? And then you hear it, more clearly now than ever before. Red paper or blue paper? The voice asks again, but this time it feels different. It doesn't ask, it demands. The lights flicker one last time, and the door bursts open. But what you see on the other side is enough to freeze your blood. It's not an empty restroom anymore. It's a hallway, long and dark, stretching far beyond your sight. The air is thick, suffocating, and the walls seem to pulse with a strange energy, as though something is waiting for you to step through. And there, at the far end of the hallway, you can just make out a figure. Tall, gaunt, and cloaked in shadows, its face hidden in the darkness. The laughter rises again, louder this time, but it's not just one voice anymore. It's a chorus, 1,000 voices echoing from the depths of the shadows, all asking the same question. Red paper or blue paper? You know, in that moment, that this is no longer just a choice. It's a game with consequences you may never escape. And no matter what choice you make, there's no turning back. If you choose the red paper, the consequences are almost immediate. The air in the restroom seems to shift, like the room itself is responding to your choice. A cold, sharp gust of wind rushes past you, sending shivers down your spine. The chill is unnerving, the kind that lingers, crawling across your skin like the touch of a phantom. You hear a faint sound, like a blade slicing through the air, and before you can even react, you feel it. A sharp, searing pain erupts across your body. It's as if your skin itself is being torn apart, each puncture deeper than the last. The sensation is almost unbearable, like 1,000 needles are piercing your flesh, digging into the very core of you. You gasp for air, but it feels like your lungs are being crushed under the weight of an unseen force. Your body trembles, every muscle going rigid as the pain intensifies, and you feel yourself losing control. Your knees buckle, and you crumple to the floor, the cold tiles against your skin only adding to the cruel irony of the situation. The room seems to close in around you, the walls pressing in as if to suffocate you. Your vision blurs, and you hear the faintest whisper, a voice you cannot place. But it isn't the voice of comfort or solace. It's cold, detached, like an echo from the beyond. You try to scream, to cry out for help, but your voice is swallowed by the thick, suffocating silence that has consumed the room. The air is dense, almost sticky, and it makes each breath feel like a laborious task. The blood that begins to pour from your body is hot, hot enough to sear your skin as it drips to the floor in a steady, unrelenting stream. It stains your clothes, soaking through the fabric and pooling beneath you in a crimson puddle that seems to grow with every passing second. You try to move, to get away, but your body won't obey. It feels as if every part of you is slowly being dragged under by the weight of this nightmarish fate. And then you see it. The blood. It seems to take on a life of its own. It coils around you, wrapping you in the red paper of your destiny. It moves like liquid tendrils, crawling along the floor and up your body, snaking around your limbs as if it were alive. Your heart beats wildly, but the sound of the blood pooling beneath you drowns it out, a constant, maddening reminder of your fate. You try again to scream, to beg for mercy, but no words come. The life is draining from you, leaving behind a hollow, empty feeling. All that's left is the unbearable pain, the relentless bleeding, and the horror of knowing that there is no escape. The world around you blurs, fading into darkness, and you feel yourself slipping away. Your heartbeat grows faint, the blood that once flowed freely now trickling slower, weaker, until there is nothing left. The room is still, deathly quiet, save for the sound of your own fading heartbeat and the blood-soaked paper that entangles you. As the legend goes, death by the red paper is violent. It is brutal and agonizing. No one survives the red paper. The horror lingers long after the victim is gone, an imprint in the world that nothing can erase. The red paper is death, pure and simple. There is no mercy, no escape. It is as inevitable as the setting sun. If, for some reason, you choose the blue paper, the outcome is just as horrifying, though in a completely different way. The air grows colder, a biting chill that nips at your skin and makes your breath visible in the air. The world around you begins to blur, like a dream losing its clarity. Your vision dims, And for a moment, you wonder if this is truly happening or if you've somehow drifted into unconsciousness. But then the voice returns, calm and cold, like a whisper from the deepest part of your mind. "Blue paper," it says again, almost with a sense of finality, as though it knows your fate is sealed. A strange pressure builds in your chest, a sensation like something invisible is tightening around your throat, squeezing with each breath you take. You gasp, trying to draw in air, but it feels as though the very air itself is being stolen from your lungs. The constriction deepens, relentless and suffocating. Your chest feels as though it's being crushed under the weight of an invisible force, and you can't shake the rising panic that claws at your insides. Your face begins to burn, heat spreading rapidly as your breath becomes shallow, labored. The suffocation is slow, agonizing, a cruel and methodical killer. Each breath becomes harder to take, and the air seems to thin with each passing moment. You claw at your throat, desperate for a way to break free, but it's no use. Your hands are slick with sweat, and your vision begins to cloud. The world around you goes hazy, fading to a blur of shapes and shadows. You feel your heart racing, but even the frantic beats of your heart seem to slow in the oppressive air. Your hands tremble at your sides, reaching out in desperation, but there is no one to help you. The suffocation drags on, unrelenting. Your face turns a deep shade of blue, your skin tight and cold to the touch. You feel your pulse weakening, the rhythm slowing as the world begins to dim. The darkness creeps in at the edges of your vision, and you know deep down that the legend is true that the blue paper does not offer mercy. It is just as fatal as the red paper, just as horrifying. The cold will drain the life from you, slowly, agonizingly, until there's nothing left but the corpse of someone who made the wrong choice. But there is, however, one last option, a final chance to escape this nightmare. It's risky. It's not an easy choice, and even then, there's no guarantee you'll make it out alive. But it's simple. Refuse the paper altogether. "I don't need paper," you must say aloud, your voice trembling with fear, every word heavy with the weight of the decision. According to the legend, this is the only way to break the curse, the only way to avoid the terrifying fate of the red or blue paper. If you're lucky, if you've chosen wisely, the voice will fall silent. The tension in the air will lift, the cold chill will dissipate, and you'll be free to leave the restroom. But it's not over yet. There's always a chance, just a slight chance, that the voice will not let you go so easily. The curse might not release its grip on you. You might find yourself still trapped, still at the mercy of the legend. In that case, you might never leave the restroom at all. For those who have survived the encounter with the red or blue paper, the story doesn't end there. Many who claim to have experienced the legend say they are haunted long after the event. They hear the voice again, echoing in their minds, in the silence of their own homes. Some swear they see glimpses of the paper, the red and blue, lurking in their dreams, or even in the most mundane of moments. The terror follows them, relentless, a reminder that sometimes the legends are more than just stories. They are warnings. Some say the paper appears when you least expect it, hidden in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to make its presence known. Others claim to feel the pressure of the curse even years after their initial encounter, a constant, nagging fear that something is watching, waiting. And for some, the terror becomes an obsession. They search for the paper, hoping for closure, but always fearing what might happen if they find it again. The legend never truly leaves. It lingers, like a shadow in the corners of your mind, whispering its chilling promise every time you close your eyes. Thank you for listening to tonight's chilling tale. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and hit that subscribe button for more spine-tingling stories. And remember, stay safe, stay aware, and always trust your instincts. You never know what might be lurking, just out of sight.